So there's three parts to this really. Firstly, there's the automatic emails that are sent out from the Employment Hero platform and the triggers for those. So I'm firstly going to show you where you can find a guide on all of the automatic emails, what triggers those emails, and who those emails will be sent to. Then you have your company email settings. So as an admin or an owner, you will have access to set your company email settings, which is effectively you saying what sort of notifications you think your employees should be receiving. And then there's a notification setting as well, which is how an employee on an individual basis can change their own notification settings. So by default, every new employee will be defaulted to the company email settings that have been set by the company. However, they can change it on their own individual basis as well. If they don't want to be receiving an email to let them know they've received a payslip, for example, they can turn that notification off. And they can also change their notification, their email frequency, so they can say how often they want to get these reminders. So starting at the first point there, the automatic emails and triggers, I'm actually going to go firstly into our knowledge base. So this is the help center that I've mentioned. I'm actually going to go to the home page so that you can see how I found this article here. So if you come to employmenthero.zendesk.com, you'll see a screen similar to this, or you'll see the screen. You can search here for anything at all, but the guide that I know I want to be showing you today is telling you what kind of emails you'd be receiving from the platform. So I'm going to search for what kind of emails, and then you'll see we get up 24 different results here. So this is the guide that I'm actually referring to right now. So I'm just going to click onto this. Now, I'm not going to kind of read you through all of this because there's quite a lot of information, but this is just really, really useful to note so that if you ever wonder if a particular action in the platform is going to trigger out an email, then you can come here and have a look. So one of the common questions that I mentioned we get from some of our clients is, will somebody be updated or will somebody be notified if an employee updates their pay details? So if this is something that you were thinking, you could come to this guide and you could, I'm going to use the search function, and I'm just going to search for pay details. So that's just straight away taken me to this section of the employee file. Now, what this is telling me is that this is the email subject that would appear. And this email will be sent out when an employee's pay details have been updated. And it also tells me who it will be sent to. So you'll see that this email is going to be sent to the payroll admin. So I would just really recommend, this is the first place that you'd want to look if you're trying to work out if a certain action in the platform would trigger out an email. And also you can see who that will go to. So you'll see that some actions will send out directly to an employee's manager. Some would send to the payroll administrator. Some things here would send to the employee's company email address. So, you know, you can really have a look through this and see whatever it is that you're looking for, if an email would be triggered, who it would be sent to, and also what the email subject would be so that you know what to look for. So that guide there was really showing you the automatic emails and triggers that will be sent from Employment Hero. The second part to this was the company email settings. So I'm going to refer to these as kind of the default email settings. Now, as an admin and owner, you can set these up yourself here. So this again is under general settings, and then it's under email settings. Now on this page, you'll see there's alerts, there's tasks, and there's reminders. So in the alerts and tasks, you can see each of the different kind of topics. If you click onto one of them, you're really simply switching this toggle to off if you don't want to be receiving notifications for it, or keeping it on if you do want notifications to be sent for them. So you can set these to be whatever you'd be wanting for your whole company. So these are your company default settings. So what this is effectively saying is that these settings that you make here will, when you first invite your employees onto the Employment Hero platform, these will be the relevant settings for them as well. They do have the option, as I said, to change these in their own platform, but under the general settings and employment and email settings, this is where you're setting the company's default settings. So the alerts are notifying you of updates or changes that you should know. The tasks are notifying you of things that you may need to action, or things that other people may need to action. And then down here you've got reminders. So reminders will notify you when an event is occurring. Now the reminders, if you click onto the reminders, you'll see that you have the option to turn notifications off if that's not relevant. But if notifications are on, you can actually select who would be notified. So you can select whether it's an owner, so that would be the Employment Hero owner, Employment Hero admins, payroll admins, primary manager, or secondary manager. Now you can select multiple. You could select all of them. If you don't want any, then you can just turn the notifications off. But if you do want, for example, for all of these people to be notified, then that's absolutely fine. You can select all of those boxes. Then down here is where you would say when you'd want them to be notified. So you will see that you can add reminders down here by clicking this green plus button. So you can actually add in up to 10 reminders. And then what you'd have to do is just select whether it's one day before this specific event. So I've selected birthdays here. So if I wanted all of these people to be notified one day before an employee's birthday, then this is where you would be adding in these details. If you'd also want them to receive a notification a week before, you'd put 7 days before. If you do want it to appear on the day, I'll just remove that to show you how this works. You just put, oh sorry, you couldn't actually really see that, could you? You actually just put a 0 in that box and it will automatically go to on the day. So what this is saying, if I kept these settings as they are and clicked save, on an employee's birthday, and the Employment Hero owners, Employment Hero admins, payroll admins, primary manager and secondary manager of that employee would receive a notification 7 days before their birthday, 1 day before their birthday, and also on the day of their birthday. Lucky employee if they get that much attention for their birthday, that would be great. But yes, that's just to show you how you can manage those. So you can do that for each of these things here. So that's for employees' birthdays, certification expiry, employee offboarding, end of probation, passport expiry, visa expiry, and work anniversary. So they're really, really useful functions to have set up. Quite often we hear of clients who've had to just have automatic reminders set up in their calendars that for every new employee they have to put in a new reminder into their calendar. So this just completely automates that for you. Things like birthdays, it might just be really useful to have it as the primary manager is notified a week before and a day before, so that it's relevant. So you can set those up as you like. Now, referring back to the knowledge base, this guide here is actually explaining what I've just gone through on that page. So if you do want to refer to this at a later date, you would just come back to the help center, employmenthero.zendesk.com, and then just search for company email notifications or company email settings, and you'll find this guide. So this is just really, really useful to note for you. It does reiterate what I mentioned. So it's just to explain that here, if a new employee is created, their email settings will be the same as the default settings on the company, but an employee can always overwrite the default ones with their own configuration. The one thing to note here is the exception to this is the outstanding compliance reminder emails, which if for the organization that's disabled, that would be disabled for the entire organization. So you can have a look at this in your own time if you want to have a read through that, and if you want that to hand when you're setting them up to remind you what each of the different types of email settings mean. So that is setting up then your company email settings. Now, if I go back into my platform, you might have all noticed at some stage that there's also this notifications option here. So under the notifications, you've got email settings and you've got email frequencies. So it's here where you can change your own settings as an individual. So your employees will also see this notifications option because this is where they can set their own settings. So this is where employees are able to overwrite the company default settings that we've just set up. So as an employee, if I was to go into my notifications and then email settings, you'll see each of these modules. You have here the module on the left, the event on the second column, and then I've actually just got all my email notifications on. But if you decided that you didn't want to be receiving a notification for your certification expiry, then you could click no. If you didn't want to receive a notification for your work anniversary, you can click no. So you can do this, and your employees can do this on their individual basis as well. Now, the last thing to note with this is that you can also choose your email frequencies as an individual also. So if you click onto the notifications and then email frequencies, really simply, you select how often you'd want to be receiving these email notifications, daily or weekly, and I might say let's have it weekly, and then you can choose what day of the week it would be. So I might like to say Mondays are always too busy for me. If I get an email on a Monday, I don't action it, so let's put it on a Wednesday. In the middle of the week, it's tend to have calmed down for me then. And let's say I'd like to receive this at 11 o'clock so that I've got, I don't know, lunchtime to action anything that might need to be actioned. So you can, your employees can do that themselves. Your employees can set their email notification frequency and say in their email settings what sorts of things they'd want to receive notifications for and what they wouldn't. Just to reiterate, the one thing that kind of that doesn't relate to is the outstanding compliance reminders there. Now, lastly, there is a guide on the Help Centre to take you through that as well. So even if you wanted to share this with your employees to explain to them how they can change their own settings, then you can do that. So again, you just go to employmenthero.zendesk.com and then just search there for employee email notification settings. And that just takes you back through what I've mentioned there. So it reminds you that by default, all employees use the default email settings of the company, but they can turn these off. So it's completely up to them how they want to manage their own notifications and set their email frequencies. So I hope that that's made the kind of email functions a bit clearer in Employment Hero. Just to reiterate, the automatic emails are the emails that are sent out from Employment Hero triggered by an action. And it's that guide on the Help Centre that shows you exactly who would be receiving those emails, what the subject would say, and what it is that's triggering those emails being sent out. Then admins and owners can set their company email settings under General Settings and Email Settings. What you set in the company email settings will default through to an individual employee's settings. However, they can override it themselves in their notifications and email settings on an individual basis.